Oh, yeah. College football started last night, and this is the kind of stuff that you want to see. I didn't see a big-time program, but I saw two big-time players. That's one thing we'll discuss. Of course, Anthony Edwards still making news because you know, or you knew Hall of Famers were going to clap back at him now. You knew that, right? You can't sit up there and talk about dudes like they couldn't play and they weren't on your level when they accomplished things you never accomplished. Magic Johnson clapped back at the great Ant-Man himself just a few days ago. And now another Hall of Famer made sure to chime in as well. We got to talk about that too. And last but not least, yeah, I got something to say. It ain't just about Dak Prescott. It ain't just about football. It's also about politics as well. I got some stuff on my mind. I really, really do. Because certain things need to be said. And damn it might offend a lot of people. Especially in the world of politics. I don't give a damn. Certain things need to be said. So I'm going to say it. The Stephen A. Smith Show in the house coming your way. Holla right now. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the latest edition of the Stephen A. Smith Show, coming at you as I love to do at the very least 3 days a week over the digital airways of YouTube and, of course, iHeartRadio. As always, before I do any show, I like to take an opportunity to thank my subscribers, my followers, my supporters, because we've now eclipsed 771,000 subscribers. That could not happen without your love and support. Keep it coming, and I'm going to keep on coming like I always promise you. Plus, we've eclipsed over 2.5 million downloads on iHeartRadio over the last couple of months. Again, the support is greatly, greatly appreciated. Thank y'all so much, and I'm going to keep it coming with the content. That's what I'm going to do. I love doing this show. I love the support that y'all give me. I love the fact that y'all want me to step out and get a little bit more raw every single day. I don't mind doing it one bit. And I'm certainly not going to stop or subside in any way, shape, form, or fashion. So thank y'all for the love and support. Keep it coming. Again, I'm going to keep on coming. Lots of stuff to get into in the world of politics, in the world of sports on the NBA side, in the NFL as well. But, of course, the way we got to get started is with the start of the college football season this week in the Colorado Buffaloes game on prime time last night on ESPN. Colorado took on North Dakota State at home, beating them 31-26. But the game was about their two biggest stars, Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter. Shedeur Sanders completed 26 of 34 passes for 445 yards, 4 touchdowns, by the way, 3 of them to Travis Hunter, who is that dude, by the way. As for Hunter, that's who I'm talking about. In addition to his 3 touchdown catches for 132 yards, he also lined up on defense, playing for a total of 129 snaps in the game. Didn't get a break, didn't get a rest at all. Head coach primetime Deion Sanders accepted the win, but expressed anger with his team's defensive performance, yielding 26 points and 449 total yards. Now, here's what Deion Sanders had to say. He was happy with the win, but he was going to have to suppress his anger because he was disgusted at some of the boneheaded plays and some of the mishaps his team committed. To get the negative out of the way first, let's understand something here. The Colorado Buffaloes gave up 449 yards total. It was to an FCS school, not an FBS school. So let's get that out the way. North Dakota State ain't no joke. 9-time champions in their program's history. But nevertheless, it shouldn't be a situation where they're chalking up and accumulating 449 yards. Now, to Colorado's credit, they had, like 20 points in the first half, and Colorado was down 20-17. That means they held North Dakota State to 6 points in the entire second half. That's clearly an improvement from last year, no doubt about that. But 449 yards when you were giving up an average of 453 yards for the season, you were one of the worst defenses in college football. I know that Deion Sanders has worked on a lot of things this offseason. Clearly, their defense wasn't really one of them, at least in the first half. I know what wasn't worked on at all, the running game, because it was virtually non-existent. It really was. And so when you look at it from that standpoint, there's some trepidation to exist on the part of the Colorado Buffaloes, not to mention their game management situation. Why the hell are you throwing the ball? And that wasn't Primetime's fault. That was his son doing, ad-libbing a little bit and calling an audible and doing his thing, trying to get somebody involved that hadn't been that actively involved because Travis Hunter and this kid, Jimmy Horn Jr., were busy doing most of the damage, and he wanted to get another dude involved. But you don't pick up the football on a first down and throw the football when all you need to do is run out the clock because the opposition has one timeout remaining, and after that, the game will be over. That's just not smart. That's just not smart. Having said all of that, that ain't really the story. That ain't really the story. We know Colorado doesn't have much of a running game. We know they don't have a bunch of hogs on their squad and they're undersized. We know that you can run roughshod over them on the offensive side of the ball and do pretty much whatever you want for the most part, and they're going to have some trouble defensively this year. But what we can't deny is that Shedeur Sanders is a bad brother. This brother's something special. Okay, his poise in the pocket, his athleticism, his willingness to stand in there amongst the giants and take hits, take punishment. Got to give credit where credit is due. He only got sacked once after being sacked in FBS record 52 times last year, or the FBS most 52 times last year during the regular season. He only got sacked once. Only got sacked once last night. So that was an improvement. But he was running for his life half the damn time he was out there. And he was getting popped silly after he released the ball on a few occasions as well. So that is not good. But his ability to continue to make plays under duress, I believe, cements him as a surefire first-round pick and one of the top two quarterbacks that's going to go in next spring's NFL draft. Shedeur Sanders, I don't know if you can legitimately pick maybe this cat Beck out of Georgia, maybe somebody like that, but I don't know if you can pick anybody else ahead of Shedeur Sanders. And when you consider his pedigree and the fact that, yes, primetime Deion Sanders is your father, the greatest cornerback in the history of football, arguably the greatest athlete who ever lived. Primetime Deion Sanders is in that conversation, y'all know. He's in that conversation. When we look at some of the greatest athletes that we have ever seen in the history of this country, if not all of mankind, Deion Sanders is in that conversation. You can bring up Jim Brown. You can bring up Michael Jordan. You can bring up LeBron James. You can bring up a whole bunch of people. You got to put his name up in there. Primetime Deion Sanders. One of the greatest, if not Bo Jackson, let's not forget him. But when you think about just athleticism, arguably the greatest athlete in the history of man is primetime Deion Sanders. Could play football, could play basketball, could play both sides of the ball in football, could play special teams. I mean, the brother's special. And you see what Travis Hunter is doing. He doesn't come off the field playing for Deion. He plays wide receiver. He makes plays. Saw that catch in the end zone, in the right corner of the end zone with the dude draped all over him in his arms. He still caught the damn ball. The brother is special. And here's a legitimate question, ladies and gentlemen. If you have an opportunity, a top pick in the draft, knowing how important the quarterback position is in the sport of professional football, do you automatically take the quarterback? Or do you say, yo, if it's a choice between Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter, what do? Do you automatically go with Sanders? Or does Hunter give you cause for pause and say, yo, wait a minute, this brother's all-purpose brother. He can play wide receiver in the slot, wide out, outside the numbers. He can play cornerback. He can play safety. What do? He can play free safety. He can play one of the cornerback positions in the National Football League. He can definitely play wide receiver with his speed. What can you say? I got to look at that and say, yo, it's not that easy of a decision. Now, me personally, I'm going to go with the quarterback because I see how important the quarterback position is in the National Football League. But it does give me cause to pause. I can't front. I got to look at it from that standpoint. That's just where I'm at with it. So I got that out the way. All right? These two brothers right here are something special to behold. And this cat, Jimmy Horn Jr., that chalked up about 198 receiving yards his damn self, this brother is special. He's the fastest dude on the team. I just look at Colorado, and here's where I'm at. You're still undersized. And when you go up against them hogs, them meat and potato brothers, you understand? Eating whole chickens and turkeys and stuff like that for breakfast. I just have a hard time trying to figure out how you going to survive withstanding that for a full season. And moving to the Big 12 and that conference, although It's not the SEC or the Big Ten, still more physical, with more talent than the Pac-12 that they were in. You went 4-8 last year. You lost 8 of your last 9 games, including 6 straight, although 5 of those games was by 1 possession. I'm just looking at Colorado, and I'm saying Deion got an entirely new revamped offensive line that clearly is doing a better job of protecting his son from getting sacked. But what about improving the running game? And if you haven't improved the running game, then you're asking Shedeur Sanders to throw the ball 30-plus times. He's going to accumulate numbers. Travis Hunter is going to be a leading candidate for the Heisman Trophy. He keeps this up. Sanders is going to be in the conversation for the Heisman himself. But is Colorado going to win any games? I'm not going to lie to you. I can't see them winning more than 5 or 6 games. I just can't see it. I can't see it. I'm sorry. So that's just where I'm at with it. I also want to say this, though, before I go to break. On the NFL side, there's been so much noise made about Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott is Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott can ball. But if I got an opportunity as the Dallas Cowboys to get my hands on Shedeur Sanders, I mean, can we rule that out, y'all? I mean, we family. You know, sounding like Bernie Man, we family. Can we rule that out? Can we definitively say that, yo, he ain't as big, he ain't as strong, he's not going to be as durable as Dak Prescott, so guess what? No, I wouldn't. But I can't say that. Because when I see his daddy, knowing what his daddy did as a superstar football player, and then I see this brother playing the quarterback position, that's his seed, and I see that same moxie, that same bravado, that same bravery and courage, that same poise under pressure. We got to remember, ladies and gentlemen, when we talked about Colorado last year and how sorry they were, it wasn't because of their offense. They've been scoring points. It was their defense. They've been scoring points. Only time I saw them didn't do much offensively was when they went against Oregon. These brothers can play. And when I see that kid, knowing who his father is, knowing the pressure that's on his shoulders at that quarterback position, he ain't playing for Alabama. He ain't playing for Georgia. He ain't playing for Ohio State or LSU or Michigan. He playing for Colorado. And you still got to deal with him on an elite level because he's an elite brother. He's special. Shedeur Sanders is special. Travis Hunter is special. And this kid, Jimmy Horn Jr., I believe, is special. Where's the running game? We know about that. And I don't expect much from Colorado this year. I'm just hoping they win more games than last year. But when I think about this kid, I'm thinking about all these damn conversations about Dak Prescott, who clearly is going to get his money. He's got all the leverage in the world for the Dallas Cowboys. You can't franchise tag him, and you can't trade him because he has a no franchise clause and he has a no trade clause, and he's got all the leverage in the world, so he's going to get his freaking money. We know this. But every now and then somebody special comes along. And there's just that it factor. And I'll just ask a rhetorical question to all of y'all out there. I already asked one question. If you had a chance to get Shedeur Sanders, do you hold on to Dak Prescott or do you go and grab him? Because it's all a hypothetical because we know it's not realistic that he's going to be available for the Dallas Cowboys who probably have to trade up to get him. And who's going to want to give up the assets to trade for somebody when you know you got an opportunity to get a player of Sanders' caliber? That's fair enough. But here's the other question. Because it begs to be asked. If you gave Shedeur Sanders, CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup in the past, Brandon Cooks now, Ferguson at the tight end spot, an offensive line that could protect him, and a running game that was at least serviceable. Not just Ezekiel Elliott or Dalvin Cook like the Cowboys have now, but what if they had somebody like Derrick Henry or whatever? If you put this young brother with talent, does he have the moxie and the poise to give you 2 playoff victories over 8 years? I think we all know the answer to that question. And that's how you got to look at stuff. That's just me. That's just me. Coming up, another NBA veteran Hall of Famer slammed Ant-Man himself, Anthony Edwards' comments about the greatness of players in the last era. That's coming up next. Also, I'm going to touch on some politics too, but not before I touch on this. Stick around. You're watching the Stephen A. Smith Show over the digital airwaves of YouTube and, of course, iHeartRadio. Back with more in a minute. All right, everybody, you know what time it is. It's time for Stephen A. Sports Picks. In case you haven't heard, I've teamed up with Prize Picks to bring you my favorite picks for all the big-time players and games. Prize Picks is a skill-based real money daily fantasy sports game where you select the stats for 2, 3, or even up to 6 players and predict if they'll have more or less than those projections for the game. It's not only incredibly exciting, but super easy to play. It literally takes less than 60 seconds to make your picks. And you can choose anybody. And I mean anybody. Pick the stats of Asia Wilson, Aaron Judge, Dak Prescott, and Novak Djokovic. And then just sit back and watch your bankroll grow. And get this, sign up with code SAS and Prize Picks will give you $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. You don't need to win with your lineup to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. All you have to do is play a $5 lineup on Prize Picks and you'll get $50 instantly. Now, let's look at today's winning picks. Quarterback Carson Beck from Georgia going up against number 14 Clemson. More or less than 262.5 passing yards. I'm not sold on Clemson. I think they're going in the wrong direction. Georgia's a powerhouse. They could have easily three-peated as national champions last year, but they didn't do that. This kid Beck is considered the real deal, a Heisman Trophy candidate, possibly the first quarterback taken overall in the upcoming draft. I'm going to go with more with him in terms of passing yards at more than 262.5 yards. TCU quarterback Josh Hoover playing at Stanford, more or less than 283.5 passing yards. I'm definitely going with more on this because TCU's problems is defense. Offensively, they don't have too many problems. They know how to score. I believe in that, brother. I think they're going to score more. I'm going with more in that particular category. Next up, Alabama quarterback Jalen Milroe going up against Western Kentucky, more or less than a half passing yards. Really? So against Western Kentucky, a quarterback for Alabama ain't going to pass for 1 yard? Are y'all smoking something? Stop it. Of course, the answer to that question is more than a half yard. Come on, y'all. Be serious. Be more serious than that, please. Miami Hurricanes quarterback Cam Ward playing the Florida Gators. More or less than 261.5 passing yards. I'm going to go with more on this. I think that's the way to go. I just do. I don't know why. I just have that funny feeling. Finally, by the way, Clemson signal caller Klubnik playing number 1 Georgia in Georgia. More or less than 190.5 passing yards. I'm going to go with more here, but guess what? I think it's going to be by default. I think a potential blowout is in the making, and then you got garbage time, and you just throwing the ball all over the field and then prevent defense and all of this stuff, and as a result, you're able to accumulate yards. I think that's what we're talking about here. Klubnik is going to put up yardage, but is he going to really make a difference with the outcome? I don't think so. We're going to go with more. That's all Stephen A. likes talking about, especially when I'm talking about Prize Picks, because they certainly know how to put more money in my pocket. That's why I love them. Welcome back to Stephen A. Smith Show right here over the digital airways of YouTube and, of course, iHeartRadio. During an episode of The Ticket and the Truth podcast, Hall of Famer Kevin Garnett slammed Ant-Man himself, Anthony Edwards, and all of the players in the modern era. In Garnett's eyes, today's players wouldn't have been able to play in his era. According to Kevin Garnett, the modern era player wouldn't be able to deal with the physicality of the past. He likened it to the physicality that they dealt with and struggled with during the 2024 Paris Olympics. Here's more of KG and what he had to say. Take a listen.
He didn't watch. Man, Jordan, the only one has skill. I know you didn't watch the game.
I know you.
But him saying that.
Yeah, so, you can't say that.
You know what? Respect to the young fella, man. I don't get on here, and we don't use this platform to douse anything. But I'm not going to start the cooning. I'm here to elevate the game. I'm here to help the young players elevate themselves. But it's always different eras. And when you hear Michael Jordan and some of the greats talk about the different eras of play, the 80s were different from the 70s, the 70s were different from the 60s, the 60s was different from the 50s. But in all of it, it had gamemanship, it had aggressiveness, and it had stuff that came with it that you didn't really hear about that you hear now. Nah, Lord, he feeling himself, and I like that. I like that he feels good, but when you're a savant and you're talking to the league and you spitting different shit, nah, you gotta know what you're talking about to be in the argument or to be in the discussion of what we're talking about.
First things first, let me tell you what pissed me off. I shouldn't say pissed off, but I kind of felt a little pissed off at KG for this one thing. You ain't got to qualify how much love you got for the young brother and all this, and y'all podcast ain't here to hurt nobody. Yo, bro, you a Hall of Famer and a champion. The truth, Paul Pierce, you a Hall of Famer and a champion. I know you work at the other network. I don't give a damn. Mad respect for you and what you did on that basketball court, especially in crunch time, the truth. Got a right to say what the hell you want to say. Say what you want to say. As long as you ain't attacking the person. But you can attack what they said. And as long as you're doing that, you ain't got to qualify your comments. Let's get that out the way first. Secondly, I appreciate Kevin Garnett clapping back at Ant-Man because I certainly disagree with Ant-Man. Now, I will say this. Kevin Garnett was also quoted as saying that Ant-Man and these players couldn't play in the old era, 90s, 80s, things like that. That's not true. That's not true. Let's be more specific and let's understand what Kevin Garnett was saying. What you're saying is based on the way the game is played today, these cats who lean on today's rules and regulations to qualify their greatness, it would have been significantly tougher for you to be as great as you are now back in the day, playing with the rules and level of physicality that they allowed. Perfect example would be Steph Curry. Steph Curry came into the league with soft ankles. You might not have survived. They would have sat up there, they'd have untied your shoelaces, they'd have stepped on your foot, they'd have twisted your damn ankle, they'd have messed with you all day, every day. That's what they're talking about. All right? You know, when you sit up there, you can hit somebody's elbow like that when they shooting. They'd have done that all day to Steph Curry. Absolutely true. But because I believe he's the best shooter that God ever created, I think he would have adjusted. You can't tell me that a LeBron at 6'9", 260 couldn't deal with the physicality of the old days because he would have been hurting people because that's how powerful and that's how strong he is. You can't tell me Kobe couldn't have done with that. You can't tell me that Vince Carter, the greatest in-game dunk I've ever seen, couldn't have dealt with that. Can't tell me that. So I know that's not what KG was trying to say, but I just want to qualify. Let me be very, very clear. Steph Curry could have played in the old era because you just don't teach shooting ability like that. Klay Thompson could have played in the old school era because you just don't teach shooting ability like that. LeBron James, any era. Russell Westbrook would have been a monster. Without having to rely on the three like that, Russell Westbrook would have been off the chain. James Harden would have danced on people. Kevin Durant, any era, he's 6'11" with a handle and a J. Jokic, with his ball handling ability, his passing ability, his shot making ability. Yes, if Bill Laimbeer could have been in the NBA, Jokic could have been in the NBA. Let's be very, very clear about that. So I'm just saying to all of y'all, you look at certain things and point to it what it is. It's a whole bunch of players that could have succeeded in today's era, in the old school, from today's era. But I also get where KG's coming from. KG like, yo, predecessors set the stage and the example for successors to follow. How you going to be disrespectful? I know you said you hadn't watched us. You're too young. You didn't see us. But if you're going to say Michael Jordan was the only skilled player, Isaiah Thomas is one of the greatest skilled players in the history of the game. Charles Barkley was a monster. Akeem the Dream Olajuwon was sensational. One of the greatest big men of all time. Kevin Johnson for the Phoenix Suns was no joke. Gary Payton, the glove, with his defensive prowess and his physicality. Sean Kemp, no joke. No joke. Mark Aguirre, Adrian Dantley. Look now. Let's pay attention. Bernard King. A healthy Bernard King. You know what he would have done to some of these players? What are you talking about? I know that Dominique Wilkins didn't have that great of a handle, but he was the human highlight reel for a reason. What are you talking about? Some great Dennis Johnson, the late great Dennis Johnson. Kevin McHale, 15 feet, 10 feet and in. One of the most unstoppable forces we have ever seen in the history of basketball. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. What are you talking about? Can't say that. Can't say that. Can't do that. Can't think like that. No. Can't do that. Now, Ant-Man is special. And ladies and gentlemen, I see him coming. When I see Anthony Edwards, I see Michael Jordan. I see Vince Carter. I see Kobe. I see this potentially. Not there yet, potentially. I see this. Ant-Man is right on par with Steph Curry as my two favorite players in the NBA to watch today. He is box office. And Ant-Man is going to do so. Don't let Minnesota get him an additional scoring weapon. My God, don't let that happen. Because Minnesota's going to win a championship with Ant-Man. I love Ant-Man. But his statement, my brother, you're such a young whippersnapper. You just don't know. My condolences to you for what you do not know. Remember, Connie Hawkins is what gave Dr. J the creativity and the innovativeness that he ultimately exercised and took to another level. And Dr. J did that for Michael Jordan. And Michael Jordan did that for Vince Carter. And Vince Carter and Michael Jordan did that for Kobe Bryant. List goes on and on. When you see something to replicate and emulate, your creativity bursts from there. But I also understand why KG clapped back like that. You can't disrespect the errors like that. You can't do that. I remember when J.J. Redick made noise and made news because he was arguing with Mad Dog Russo on my daytime job, First Take on ESPN, every weekday morning from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. And he was talking about firemen and other people that were playing back in the old days, and it came across as disrespectful to the Bob Cousy's and Jerry West of the world and others. Successors come from successful predecessors. You don't disrespect the errors. You show an appreciation for them because they showed you the way. When James A. Naismith created the game of basketball, you had people walking around dribbling with one hand. Then you learn to dribble with two. They had a set shot. Then they learned a jump shot. They did layups, then they learned to dunk. It evolves, but it starts somewhere. And where it starts is what you never, ever fail to respect. And when you're young and you do that, it shows a flagrant lack of appreciation, which is why Magic Johnson said, yo, I really don't listen to anybody who hasn't won anything. And so even though we're going to see the greatness of Anthony Edwards, until he wins a championship, how much y'all want to make a bet that what we going to remember most is Magic Johnson saying, hey, I really don't listen to somebody who hasn't won a championship. He didn't win a championship in the NBA yet. He hasn't won in college. To my knowledge, I don't think he won in high school. That's what Magic Johnson said. Folks going to hold on to that quote because Ant-Man said what he said. And now KG clapped back. That's a champion. That's the big ticket. That's a Hall of Famer. Sitting beside him is the truth, who's also a Hall of Famer and a champion. Let's just call it what it is. Let's just call it what it is. By the way, as an aside, congratulations to Steph Curry for getting his new bag in a 1-year extension for over $62 million. He's earned over $500 million on the court in his career now. This is what they're saying. One of only 7 players in NBA history with at least 4 NBA championships and 2 league MVP awards, and now he's an Olympic gold medalist. I thought he should have been the MVP of the Olympics, by the way, even though he didn't show up until the last 2 games. He was that spectacular, but LeBron James was a model of consistency throughout the Olympic Games, so I can't poo-poo him getting the MVP award. But just so you know something about Steph Curry, one of only 4 players in league history with multiple NBA titles, multiple league MVPs, and multiple scoring titles, joining Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Michael Jordan, and Wilt Chamberlain. And last but not least, Steph Curry's career NBA ranks. Most in NBA history with three-pointers made, 774 and counting. Third all-time with a minimum of 2,500 attempts from three-point range in terms of percentage at 42.6. Free throw percentage, he's number 1 all-time in NBA history with 91% from the free throw line. And his true shooting percentage of 62.6%, which is basically an advanced statistics that measures a player's efficiency at shooting the ball. It's intended to more accurately calculate a player's shooting than field goal percentage, free throw percentage, and three-point field goal percentage taken individually. Steph Curry's true shooting percentage is 62.6%, which is 6th all time. Major props and congratulations to the babyface assassin. Whatever he's getting paid, he deserves more. He's that valuable. He's that significant. He's that much of an incredible role model and a champion. He's that big time. He deserves even more. Here's the real question. Is Golden State going to get anybody new to play with him in Draymond Green? And if they can't, why can't they? Is it because of Steve Kerr? I'm just asking. Especially after that Jason Tatum experience in the Olympics. I'm just asking. Something to think about. All right, y'all. I'll be back with more in a minute because I got something to talk about as it pertains to Vice President Kamala Harris, who sat down for her first interview since becoming the official Democratic nominee for President of the United States. How did she do? I'll give you my thoughts, and I just want to put out this disclaimer. I don't mean to offend anyone, but I'm going to say what needs to be said, and I'll be damned if I'm going to be scared to do so. So I'm letting y'all know that right now. If you're weary, if you're leery, I got producers, male and female, black and white, all nervous as hell about what I'm going to say. Turn the channel. Go home for the weekend. Enjoy Labor Day. Because I got some stuff to say. And I ain't biting my tongue. Back with more of the Stephen A. Smith Show in a minute over iHeartRadio and YouTube. Don't touch that dial. I got to tell y'all, I couldn't be more excited than right now. You may think it's because the NFL season is less than 2 weeks away, but guess what? It's not that. It's actually because Prize Picks is going to put me in the middle of all the big-time game action, all right? How can that be, you ask? Well, you see, Prize Picks is a daily fantasy app where you can select 2 or more of your favorite players and then pick more or less on their projected stats for the game, which means every pass, every catch, every sack are just some of the ways that you actually get to cash in. What's even better, Prize Picks is something for every sports fan, from the WNBA to Major League Baseball or golf and everything in between. I make my picks all in less than 60 seconds. Then I sit back and I watch. And get this, sign up with code SAS and Prize Picks will give you $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. You don't need to win your lineup to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. All you have to do is play a $5 lineup on Prize Picks and you'll get $50 instantly. Pick more, pick less. It's really that easy. It pays to get paid on Cash App. Some people think paying overdraft fees is unavoidable. When you deposit your paycheck on Cash App, you can get up to $50 in free overdraft coverage. Having a little cushion to give you peace of mind at no extra cost is a very beautiful thing. If you could deposit your paycheck on Cash App and get up to $50 in overdraft coverage at no cost, would you? I'm talking about up to $50 in free overdraft coverage. A little peace of mind in case of oversight at no extra cost. Now that's something to think about. Stop sitting on the bench with people who can't play and get into the game with Cash App. So once again, getting paid on Cash App isn't just convenient. Cash App has got you covered. It pays to get paid on Cash App. That's money. That's Cash App. Download Cash App from the App Store or Google Play Store today. Welcome back to Stephen A. Smith Show right here over the digital airways of YouTube and, of course, iHeartRadio. I couldn't wait to get into this next subject. I absolutely, positively couldn't wait, ladies and gentlemen. It was necessary, and I couldn't wait to get into it. I've been waiting all day to touch on this because last night, Democratic nominee Vice President Kamala Harris sat down for her first interview since entering the race 5 weeks ago, alongside VP nominee Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. Both were interviewed by CNN's Dana Bash. When asked what she would do on day one as president, Harris said she would look for ways to, quote, strengthen the middle class, end quote, and try to bring down housing prices nationwide. Harris also plans to extend a $6,000 child tax credit to families in the first year of a child's life. Former President Trump's campaign is mocking Vice President Harris for bringing Walz to her first interview since launching her bid for the White House. However, Trump's first interview, just to get this out of the way, remember his first interview after the Republican National Convention was a joint interview alongside his running mate, Senator J.D. Vance, with Fox News' Jesse Waters. And if you look back over the last decade, presidential candidates have sat for interviews with their running mates, including John McCain with Sarah Palin in 2008. Barack Obama did the same with Joe Biden that same year as well. Hillary Rodham Clinton and Tim Kaine did a joint interview in 2016. And finally, Donald Trump and Mike Pence also sat down together in 2016. That was a quote that a lot of people were making. And I understand that quote. It certainly came from members of my team because I want to put you up. Listen, I've got some family members. I've got people that I'm close to. I've got a staff that I trust tremendously so. And they express themselves. See, I want the expressions. I don't want a bunch of yes people around me. Okay. I mean, you may not know him. This is dude Rashawn. Let me tell you something right now. I got a dude named Rashawn that works for me. That man don't listen to anything I say until he has to. I mean, he wakes me up at 7 a.m. to get on my last damn nerves, okay, about his opinions, okay? He ain't no yes man. I mean, I got Sherry. You would think. I mean, listen. I'm a marvelous boss. I'm told. I'm a boss, right? You wouldn't know. I mean, Sherry, like, I don't agree with that at all. I mean, I don't know what you're thinking. And somebody else who's going to remain nameless took the time out of her busy schedule. She's married, got dogs in the house and all of this other stuff, happily married person, very, very busy, preoccupied with her life and a multitude of jobs and responsibilities and all of this other stuff. But oh no, this person took the time to sit down and write a damn dissertation to me about how wrong she thought my opinion was after watching me on Cuomo Nation with Chris Cuomo on Thursday night. She took the time to write a note to me. Let's put that note up because I want the public to see it. I ain't going to let you know who it is because I love her to death. You understand that she's entitled to her opinions. But damn it, I want y'all to see the kind of stuff that I got to deal with right here, okay? Now, damn it, that's not enough on the screen. Some of it is cut out. So I need to be able to read this post that she sent to me. Respectfully, I respectfully disagree. There have been at least 4 presidents to date who have sat for an interview with their presumptive vice presidential nominee, and that includes Trump, Pence. The vice president's selection matters right now is taking up space in Trump's head, causing him to show out and all of this other stuff. This is what she said. This is what she said. Ladies and gentlemen, do you want, and I say this albeit rhetorically, to members of my staff, to Democrats and liberals I know everywhere, to black women who are supporting Kamala Harris, to graphic folks working for me like Shedeur sitting there looking like Patrick Beverly, talking to me and swearing up and down on my Lord. Kamala. I ask one simple question. Do y'all want to hug and sing kumbaya to one another, or do you want to win the damn election? Because you want to look at me, Rashawn, when I'm talking to you. If you want to win the election, listen to me, America. Listen to me. All of that rhetoric y'all talking don't mean a damn thing, including the text that I just read to you on the air. Sit up, Sherry, when I'm talking to you, please. I got stuff on my mind. Honor free, I can't read that. You're right like a kindergarten person. Come on, man, I can't see that. Here's the deal. Listen to me, y'all. Listen good. We're trying to win an election. And I don't say we like I'm some liberal because I'm a registered independent. I say we, people who don't want Trump to win. You bring up all of those presidents and all of their sit-downs with vice presidents. Did any of them avoid a primary? Was any of them vice president when the president, the incumbent, literally had the path paved for him and everybody was moved out of the way so he couldn't be exposed for being cognitively declining? Did that happen with Barack Obama and Joe Biden? Did that happen with Trump and Pence? Did that happen with Hillary and Tim Kaine? Did that happen with Clinton and Gore? Did that happen with H.W.? I mean, think about it for a second here. And Mr. Dan Quayle himself, I had brain lock for a second. Pay attention. None of these people avoided a primary. None of these people were people that you didn't see debating candidates for their own party, where the people selected them. That did not happen with Kamala Harris. That did not happen before June 27th when Joe Biden showed up in a debate. And as Anthony Scaramucci, showing up on News Nation, being interviewed by Chris Cuomo, pointed out, and I quote, during the debate, President Joe Biden looked like a dude standing in a nursing home waiting for a nurse to feed him applesauce. That is a quote. That is a quote. And if Joe Biden looked that way in June 27th, what was he a month earlier? Or a month before that? Or a month before that? When those debates could have taken place. It was nowhere. We didn't see it because the Democrats greased the skids. So he didn't have to face competition. These are facts. These are facts. So if that is the backdrop, and you have somebody like Trump, who's very, very short on substance when he's articulating his message and defers to insults and one-liners and doing all of these kind of things, I believe you're playing right into his hands. You can't see that? You, Kamala Harris, you're the vice president of the United States. You are a former senator, a former state attorney general in the second largest state in the region, in the republic. You're a former prosecutor. This man has been indicted. He's been convicted on 34 felony counts. He's been impeached twice. He's lost civil cases. And oh, by the way, he gets grilled at the National Association for Black Journalists, and his immediate response is, "It's a very horrible question, the worst question that could have ever been asked. You didn't even say hello. How are you?" This is what he does. He goes up against Marco Rubio. He called him Little Marco. He said Jeb Bush, low energy. Carla Fiorina, she's a 4. Teasing Chris Christie about his weight. Called Ron DeSantis, Ron DeSanctimonious. The man comes up with one-liners that are catchy, and as a result, people gravitate to that. They pay very little attention to whatever substance he may have or is lacking, and he wins anyway. And he doesn't even do it by winning the popular vote. He lost the popular vote in 2016. He lost it again in 2020. You, Kamala Harris, what the hell are you doing? I'm not saying what are you doing as in right now. The strategy thus far is fine. I'm talking about moving forward. And when you know the world is transfixed on you as the potential next president of the United States, and we're looking to see what you do, you show up with Tim Walz by your side? Really? Really? You know we were looking for you. You know we wanted to hear from you. No disrespect to him whatsoever. But ain't nobody, how many times you going to hear that he's a school teacher and a former coach? That he gets you. How many times? We know this already. We got it. You want to talk to us about the state of affairs in Minnesota? You want to talk to us about it being one of the highest tax states in the republic? You want to talk to us about whatever crime is going on there? What your positions were during the riots, et cetera, et cetera? I'm down with you. I got it. But there's millions of people who disagree. If you want to go that route, no. Nobody cared. You know why? They want to hear from her. And why do they want to hear from her? Because when she was the vice president, you never heard from her. And she was getting blamed for stuff that she may not have deserved to get blamed for. Well, what is it? We're blaming you for flip-flopping on fracking. Is it true? Are you? Healthcare. Has your position flip-flopped on that? Or is it the same? They're talking about, you got surrogates out there talking about, now you willing to support building a wall after you spoke against it. Is that true? Is it? These are legitimate questions is all I'm saying. I'm not castigating her. I'm not casting convictions upon her or anything like that. I'm saying we want to hear from her. I don't give a damn about hearing from Tim Walz right now. He's a vice president nominee. We got it. We understand. We ain't trying to hear from him, no. We want to hear from her. Because we've been waiting to hear from you for 4 years. We want to see where you stand and why. And oh, by the way, as Teflon done as Donald Trump may be, that's with his constituents. It's not with registered independents. That's who you're trying to win over. Where you at? Ladies and gentlemen, she ain't going up against Mitt Romney, who knows his stuff. Say what you want about Ron DeSantis. He knows his stuff. She ain't going up against Nikki Haley. Whatever your positions may be, with the border wall, with inflation, with crime in Democratic cities, although there's crime in Republican-led cities too, the point is, that ain't even it. The issue is, you did this in your first press conference, Kamala Harris. You sat up there and said, believe me when I say, I know Donald Trump's type. You talked about dealing with criminals, fraudsters, and, con artists. And then you said, believe me when I say, ladies and gentlemen, I know Donald Trump's type. Well, if you know his type and you're accustomed to dealing with him, why is he the one doing a bunch of interviews? Again, the strategy was fine. I'm not complaining about the strategy you employed up to this point. I'm saying be clear. That ain't going to win you the presidency. And for your first interview, and by the way, you know the code that he's using. Nod your head, Rashawn. Nod your head, Honor Free, especially you, Honor Free. Oh, especially you. All right, and you too, Bailey. All of yous. Nod your head. Is Trump, yes or no? Is Trump not using codes when he points out that she's hiding? He's leaning on gender. I'm a man. I'm strong. Look at the war in Russia and in Ukraine with Russia. Look at what's going on with Israel and Palestine in the Gaza Strip and beyond. Look at the kind of troubles that we're experiencing, whether it's North Korea, it's China, or whatever. Iran, Iraq. I mean, come on, y'all. Look at all of this. You think she's strong enough? She can't even show up to do a hard interview. I show up all the time. This is what he's doing. We all know what that is. You feeding into machismo. You trying to say, Commander-in-Chief. He didn't do that to Hillary. He said a lot of things about Hillary, like crooked Hillary and stuff like that. He ain't never implied she was scared. He ain't never implied she was running. Because Hillary Clinton was smart as a whip and know her stuff. We all know. The most qualified woman to ever run for president in this country's history. Without question. Ain't that supposed to be Kamala? HBCU grad. prosecutor, state attorney general, senator, reigning vice president of the United States of America. Kamala Harris has all the credentials in the world to stand tall, stand straight up, and be like, yo, this is the way it's going to be. Let's get it on. And as a prosecutor and as an attorney, as somebody who knows the law, as somebody who knows a criminal when she sees them, as somebody who knows a con artist when she sees them, and all of these other things that she said about him, why is this dude the one we see? Because the Democrats are telling her, well, you know what? Something ain't broke. Don't fix it. We gain this momentum. We gain this momentum. We gain this momentum. They are right about that. And I'm not disagreeing with anybody on my team who feels otherwise. Here's my point. It doesn't matter if the regular process had been followed. But because they avoided the primaries, because they were accused of greasing the skids to disguise and hide Joe Biden from the rest of us in terms of the decline that was clearly taking place, she is now the Democratic nominee without having had to have a debate, without having to experience a primary, without having to campaign. It was handed to her in the eyes of the opposition. That is what they're going to say about her. Say what you will about Trump. He's supposed to be a criminal, right? He's supposed to be in jail, right? He's supposed to owe nearly $500 million, right? The bottom line is he's been the Republican nominee since 2016. And he's been through a myriad of debates. And on top of all of that, he got all of this law, these legal issues descending down upon him. And the people have spoken. The Republicans said they want him. All of them. Nobody said that about Kamala Harris until July 21st. So you don't get to just skate to the election and have a debate September 10th on ABC, and you know what? We may barely see you. Nah. Why also, ladies and gentlemen, Biden wasn't doing a bunch of interviews prior to the debate on June 27th, and then what happened thereafter with July and him stepping aside. So we have a White House that hasn't been active participants in communicating with the fourth estate, spanning months. Why are you running this country? Nah. I want you, Kamala Harris, to go out there and whip the you-know-what of Donald Trump. That's what I want. Because it shouldn't be that hard. Who's going to vote for him is going to vote for him. Just like the left is going to vote for you. But us independents, yo, you can't take him. That's like Tommy Hearns or Mike Tyson getting into the ring with somebody with a glass jaw. You should be able to take them. We know they could fight too, but once they get clipped by somebody the likes of you, they supposed to fall. You prosecutor. You should be able to handle this because of him. Say Nikki Haley or somebody you're going against. This is him. Shouldn't be hard. That was my point. That is my point. And that's going to be my point until we see her campaigning the way presidential candidates normally campaign. She's got my vote because I can't vote for him. But I don't want to vote for her just because I don't want to vote for him. I want to vote for her because she shows me she's the one. And anything that she hasn't shown, I'm not even blaming her. I'm saying the party has paved the way and greased the skids. We can't let that continue to happen. You got to show up and earn it. I'm a sports guy. I remember in 1991, if I remember correctly, Mike Tyson was scheduled to fight Michael Spinks. for the heavyweight championship of the world. And Mike Tyson was furious because there was a delay in Michael Spinks coming out to the ring, so much so that he reportedly punched a hole in a wall. He was that damn furious. Mike Tyson had no idea that what held up Michael Spinks wasn't some gimmick or anything. Michael Spinks was in his locker room crying, according to numerous reports. Crying because he had to go out there and fight Mike Tyson. And the promoter, Butch Lewis, that was in the locker room with him, do you know what Butch Lewis was doing? Crying with him. Crying with him. But still hugging him while crying and saying, you got to go out, champ. You got to go out there. You got to fight. Because they had $13 million to get. That's a true story, according to everybody that I spoke to. And all I'm saying to y'all is, when you want something, when you want the crown, you got to go out there and fight. Because Trump is calling her out. Now, we all know that's tactical maneuvering on their part and all that stuff. I'm saying it don't matter. You, Kamala Harris, honeymoon's over. Go out there and handle your business and win this election. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Let's get to a couple of quick hitters before I get on out of here for the weekend, starting with the WNBA. The Indiana Fever, led by rookie Caitlin Clark, will take on fellow rookie Angel Reese in the Chicago Sky tonight. According to TickPick, the average ticket price for the game is $334, making it the most expensive WNBA game on record. Now let's get to my WNBA Player of the Week, which is Kelsey Mitchell of the Indiana Fever. The WNBA All-Star broke the Fever's record for the most consecutive games with 20 or more points in 5 straight games. She's averaging the team-high 25.6 points per game and led the Indiana Fever to a 4-1 record since the Olympic break. First of all, major props to her. Congratulations on that. Keep doing your thing. It's just a testament to Sheryl Swoopes and what Sheryl Swoopes brought up about how there being other people contributing to the success of the Indiana Fever other than Caitlin Clark. Respectfully, however, to the great Sheryl Swoopes, the champion that is Sheryl Swoopes, the Olympic gold medalist, one of the great players in WNBA history, and a basketball savant. All I was saying is, you don't mention the Indiana Fever and don't mention Caitlin Clark. That makes it flagrantly obvious that that's something you just didn't want to do. Which begs the questions as to why you really didn't want to do that. You get mad at me. You can call me names. I'm not going to call you names. I have too much respect for you for that. If you don't respect me, I understand. I don't give a damn, but I understand. But in the end, it's okay. It's okay. My only point is, you can't talk about the WNBA and the Indiana Fever without mentioning Caitlin Clark, without raising some eyebrows as to why you wouldn't mention her. You don't believe me? Go look on social media. People will tell you them damn selves. That's all I got to say about that. But congratulations to all of Caitlin Clark's teammates, because y'all doing some special things. But it was nothing compared. I said, but right now, it far exceeds what you were doing before she arrived. I'll leave it at that. Let's get to my next item. Former Laker and NBA Hall of Fame great Shaquille O'Neal shared his thoughts on his The Big podcast about whether Lakers players will respect J.J. Redick as their new head coach. Here's what he said. You have LeBron's respect. What about the other guys? That's going to be the test. I don't think I could play for a guy who I just played against 4 or 5 years ago. End quote. Yes, you would. Stop lying. Because if they were paying you and you knew the check was in the mail, you'd play. Stop that, big boy. You know I know better than that. That's number one. Number two, let me tell y'all something about J.J. Redick. Some people call him an acquired taste. Some people point to arrogance and all of this other stuff. J.J. Redick is one of the great, great players that ever played in college basketball. He's also a 15-year NBA veteran. And although I lament how he got the Lakers job, because clearly that's something that LeBron James manipulated to his liking, if you know anything about J.J. Redick, this brother knows basketball. He knows basketball. And so it's going to be real interesting to see how he affects the players in terms of his coaching prowess. But I know one thing, players ain't going to question his knowledge. And me personally, I'm rooting for him. I believe in him, and I believe he'll be successful. I just don't like how LeBron did it. You could have waited till the season was over to start the damn podcast with him or get him the job with the Lakers, as opposed to doing it in the middle of the damn season when you knew that Darvin Ham was on a hot seat. I think that's BS, and I called it. And I love LeBron and respect him and revere him for all that he has done, but that don't make him right all the damn time. And this was one of the crimes that I thought he was wrong, plain and simple. But it is what it is. All right? Quick hitter number 2 takes me to my day job at ESPN. Number 3, my day job at ESPN. Earlier this week, ESPN held a first-of-its-kind media day at its headquarters in Bristol, Connecticut, where more than 50 multi-platform journalists from across the country were invited to talk to the network's most notable hosts, including yours truly. The gathering included myself as executive producer and host of First Take, SportsCenter host Scott Van Pelt, SportsCenter anchor L. Duncan, Get Up and new NFL Sunday Countdown host Mike Greenberg, and of course, analyst Pat McAfee, host of the Pat McAfee Show, and a regular panelist on College Football Game Day. All of us are in the news, primarily me and Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee obviously expressed his opinion about the coverage he was receiving from the media out there. I got to tell you, you can debate delivery, presentation, whatever. What you can't debate was that he made some very valid points, because people have been coming at him from day one. They have been blaming him, and they have been trying to malign the show. And him speaking up for himself, I don't blame him one damn bit. He was right to do so. So let me get that out of the way. Number 2, as it pertained to me, and it threw out that I was throwing shade on FS1. I don't throw shade on my colleagues and contemporaries. I don't do that. I was asked a question about the competition. And what I did was point out, as I will point out to you over these airwaves right now, at some point in time, people are entitled to defend themselves against falsehoods. We talked about Undisputed at the time, which is no longer on FS1, being competition for First Take. Well, it was coming on at the same time as us, but in all the years we did the shows up against one another, they came within half our ratings twice. It was never reported. And when you talk about competition, I'm going to tell you why I bring stuff like that up. I don't say, I want y'all to pay attention to me about something. And I want my team to look at me when I say this as well. If you notice, I never say I'm the best unless I say something like I'm the best, because I know I'm not. I'm constantly working towards being the best, and I think that gives me an edge. But for the most part, what I say to people is I'm number one. You know why I say that I'm number one, and I never hesitate to remind people of that? Because y'all never hesitated to remind me that I wasn't when I got fired. Everywhere we turned. Stephen A., quite frankly, ratings wasn't there. Stephen A. thought he was this, but he wasn't. So when I get to that point, I'm supposed to be quiet. I'm supposed to be quiet, Rashawn. I'm supposed to be quiet, Sherry. So in other words, when I'm quiet and I'm not winning, y'all get to bloviate about how I wasn't winning and I wasn't successful and I wasn't number one all that time. But since I've been number one, God forbid that I speak up. Hey, Rashawn, sit up in your chair when I'm talking to you, bro. When I was number one on First Take, how long was I number one before I ever said a word? We were number one since 2012. Am I lying? I never mentioned I was number one until 2018. I went 6 years without telling y'all I was number one, until I noticed y'all would never say so. If it was anybody else whose ratings we doubled, tripled, or quadrupled on a daily basis, spanning years. If that was somebody else, you would have wrote about them. How come you didn't write that about us? Oh, First Take in their competition. What are you talking about? Now, that's not me throwing shade on FS1. It's not me throwing shade on my colleagues at ESPN, because the only thing I think about competition is who's on at the same time as me. Who the hell else is on at 10 o'clock? That's it. To Emmanuel Acho and the crew, you'll never hear me speak against them. I know Acho. His brother works at ESPN, actually did a phenomenal job covering college football. I respect them. They're good brothers, and they've always been good to me. You will never hear me say a negative word about them. LaShawn McCoy. Come on, Shady. Come on, dog. You know me. That's my boy. We go back years. Keyshawn Johnson is going to be on in the afternoon. It's my brother. Michael Irvin, the playmaker. Do I have to remind y'all how I feel about these brothers? They know how much I love them. They know I don't want them to beat me. I'm going to try to beat them. But that don't mean I'm wishing for them to fail. Just like I was never wishing for Skip to fail. I hope Skip Bayless lands on his feet. I hope that brother got big time opportunities coming his way. I hope his career will span as long as he wants it to. He's the one that brought me on First Take along with Jamie Horowitz. I will never root against them. Jamie Horowitz is the man that runs Omaha Productions. That's my man. We're tight. I root for him all the time. He knows I'm building a production company, which is now called Straight Shooter, by the way. It's no longer Mr. SAS Productions. It's Straight Shooter Productions, okay? That's the name of my production company now, Straight Shooter. They know I'm coming, but it ain't for me to root against them. I hope they're going to be all right. I got nothing but love for them. I saw Emmanuel Acho on the air the other day on social media, and what he said, I appreciate you, bro. Thank you so much. I'm going to always try to beat my competition. I will never root against people that I got love for and I care about. I just root to win. I don't root for other people to lose. You see the difference? I hope y'all can comprehend that and understand that. And as far as my colleagues, I'm there for all of them. Pat McAfee need me, I'm there. Scott Van Pelt need me, I'm there. L. Duncan needs me. Greeny, my man. Oh, my God, is he going to do wonders on Sunday NFL Countdown. Mike Greenberg is one of the greatest top 10 hosts in the history of the business. Do y'all know that? Do y'all understand that? Mike Greenberg, Greeny, every time I think I could host, I watch him, and then I say I got a long ways to go. He is one of the greatest hosts in the history of television. I'm telling you what I know. I've worked with him for years. He is one of the greatest hosts in the history of sports television. Period. Bar none. Belongs up there with anybody. And L. Duncan is a star in the making. I'm adding L. Duncan to the roster on First Take. Look for her on Fridays for this upcoming season. Scott Van Pelt has volunteered to come on in the morning. You know this brother works at night, but he loves First Take. He want to come on and express his opinion. Pat McAfee's welcome to come on anytime he wants. Anytime he wants me on his show, if I got time, I'm there. We trying to win collectively. I'm not trying to hurt anybody. But be clear. I ain't going to apologize for winning, and I'm not going to apologize for prioritizing winning. That doesn't mean I want you to plummet and fall on your damn face. It just means that when all is said and done, I want to be the top-rated dog. That's all. Nothing more, nothing less. I hear a bunch of people talking about me all the time. You don't know who I am. You don't know what I'm made of. There's one person I'll never root for. We all know who that is. Outside of that, I root for everybody in this business. Marcellus Wiley, I hear you talking smack sometimes. But I'm your brother that used to come on when you had your radio show. You ain't going to get me to root against you, bro. I'm rooting for you. Ryan Clark on the pivot, my dog, Swag Ghoul, Big Perk, and the rest of the crew. Why you think I talked about J.J. Redick? I'm not going to forget just because he's the Laker coach that man was working beside me on First Take, helping us build our profile and our platform even more. I will never forget what J.J. Redick did for First Take. And if he needs me, all he got to do is call, and he knows that. It ain't going to stop me from being critiquing and calling stuff as I see it, but I will always root for him. Always. You don't like it, get the hell over it. That's how it's going to be. That's how it's been. And that's how the hell it's going to stay. I got to get on out of here. But finally, I've been fired up at a time or two from a job, but a TikTok video posted by @WeSickAndTired, end quote, of a woman who recorded herself being fired from her job has gone viral, not because she was let go, but for her response to it. Take a look at this, please.
We had a discussion a couple weeks ago about your absenteeism and tardiness.
Okay.
Do you know what time you have to be clocked in at work?
6 o'clock.
Yeah, 6 a.m.
Okay.
So, unfortunately, on 7/18, you clocked in at 6:12.
Wow.
We had a discussion about that,
12 minutes.
So your employment is really going to be terminated as of today, because also on 7/28, you clocked in at 6:21.
21 minutes.
Yes, that's 21 minutes of company time.
But I still work though. Why ain't y'all telling me that today when I was just at work?
So you were also on 8/8, you clocked in at 6:32.
That was it. Okay, so I let my cousin use my car the night before, and he didn't bring it. He overslept or something. He didn't bring it back till the morning. So, I still made it, though.
That was literally, 9 days after we talked. So, and then on 8/12, you just did a no-call, no-show.
That was my birthday. August 12th, that's my birthday. I already told you.
You didn't request that day off work, though.
But y'all know, that's my birthday. I'm not.
Birthday.
No, that's fine. All right. Okay.
Everyone works on their birthday. Even I worked on my birthday.
Y'all too grown for me.
Well, unfortunately, I just need you to turn your keys in. And
I'll be there tomorrow, because that's crazy. That's crazy.
Oh, my God. Yeah. You can't make some of this up, man. You can't make some of this up. That was my birthday, though. That was my birthday. That was my birthday. Let's be biting her nails. Oh, that was 8 minutes. That was just 8 minutes. That was just 12 minutes. That was just 12 minutes. Classic case of somebody who wants to do what they want to do, when they want to do it, how they want to do it, while they got their hand out for somebody else's money. See what I'm talking about? And then got the audacity to sit up there and get indignant, oh, that was my birthday. That was my birthday. Like they supposed to care about her birthday. Okay? I mean, if your birthday was that important, how come you didn't go to them and ask in advance, could you have your birthday off? Okay? I mean, this is kind of stuff that I'm talking about right here. You can't do what you want to do when you want to do, when you want somebody else's money. And if you don't believe me, just come out of your pocket and pay people and then have them look at you like they could do what they want to do and they don't have to pay attention to you. Understand? And watch what happens. Because I'm not going to lie to you. I'm a little bit different than them. See, they called her at home on Zoom, clearly fearful that she was going to go ballistic. You understand what I'm saying? They clearly were scared. See, I'd have fired her ass to her face. I'm telling you that right now. She wouldn't have made it out the door with me. I'd have been like, don't come back, drop your key off right now. Goodbye. You know, oh, that's my birthday, though. I mean, my goodness. That's my birthday. What? Well, oh, my goodness. I was waiting for her to go. She didn't. I scared that. Excuse me. Really? Damn. Y'all have a nice Labor Day weekend. I'll holler at y'all on Monday. Until then, peace and love.